Thanks for tuning in to more NASCAR Cup Series talk on Proline TV for a Tuesday. That's right. We're recording a little earlier in the week because CJ's heading on vacation and we will not have him on next week. So Kevin Rogers is going to fill in. Of course, Kevin has been posting Friday preview videos here on the channel. So he's been doing that all season. You've been able to hopefully check out his work. So he'll be my special guest coming up next week on the show. But this week, it's Homestead-Miami Preview. And CJ, this is turned into one of the better races, even though Las Vegas sure gave it a go for maybe one of the better racetracks in the new next-gen era. That was a pretty exciting race on Sunday.
It was really good. Everything you hope for. The drivers can use every inch of the track, so there's plenty of room to pass. You had a little bit of strategy with fuel. You had some untimely cautions as well. You had some tire issues, all the types of things that make a race interesting. Got to say that Homestead, Las Vegas, these tracks, these 1.5 mile tracks that we used to kind of complain about in the past with their progressive banking now in this new car and new rules package, they've really come to life, and they are the best on the calendar right now.
Yeah, it's and like you said when you were on the playbook show, if you want to really get what could be exciting about NASCAR, you want to check out the race at Las Vegas if you've never seen it before. And hopefully there were some new people that checked it out because, it's unfortunate that that's not the way the race activity is like 75% of the time. It would really make the series that much better. It sure would. I don't think there's any question about it, but we'll take what we can get. But yeah, Josh Berry got the win, and that was great. We had one of our long shots come in. He was 100-1 last week when we did the show. So hopefully you took advantage of that like I did. And yeah, those things don't happen very often though. But it happens at these types of races. That's what's so fun about them because you never know who's going to win. And there were so many different possibilities. You had Suarez, of course, as your long shot. So our two long shots are right there battling it out for the win late. Otherwise, I don't really see anything else wrong with it. There were some issues, like you said, with some of the drivers. And Ryan Blaney, boy, what a terrible couple of days he had. He had a fast race car, but he couldn't avoid all the trouble. Kyle Busch, I jinxed Kyle because I said on the qualifying report, I said, well, I think all those issues are behind him. So I think he's going to do really well. He was one of my picks, and everything was going well. And all of a sudden, he had a tire go down or something like that? I don't know.
He had a tire come off. He had a penalty for speeding on pit road. I think that was the first thing. And then the wheel coming off completely sheared itself. Very much a race to forget. He had a fast car. But Ryan Blaney, I was very pumped to see him at the beginning, despite the fact that he had the trouble in practice and then couldn't qualify. He started at the back, but climbed through the field super quickly. And it was like, well, doesn't matter where he starts. He's going to be at the front by the end. Only, so many mistakes throughout the day and so many incidents. He ended up getting caught up in one of them. And he said a little bit afterward in the interview that he assumed that it was his fault. I'm not so sure. It's just close racing. But yeah, those types of things happen. And that's why track position is important. That's why qualifying is important. And this track in particular, Barry started 7th, and we talked in the beginning how most of the winners of this track on this track start inside the top 10. And that's maybe why Barry had the edge over Suarez. Suarez had some handling issues at the end, but still all the trends tended to play true as we described prior to the race.
Yeah, even though, by the way, as I mentioned on Saturday's qualifying report, Berry was practice-wise 32nd. So it goes to show that at some racetracks, it just doesn't matter. And Las Vegas is definitely one of them. Homestead is another. So let's go ahead and talk about this week's race at Homestead. And just like Las Vegas, it's a 1.5 mile track. And there's only one other track on the circuit that would be considered relatively close to Homestead, and that would be Darlington. Why would that be the case?
Really more about the pavement than anything else. The shape, kind of. Darlington's a little bit different. It's got different radius turns at each end of the track. It's got progressive banking. It's not as smooth progressive banking like Homestead, but really the pavement. And that's part of what makes Homestead such a great racetrack. And we talk about it. We've talked about it several times. It wears down tires. And when you get tires that wear down, you've got better racing because you've
without
got
gimmicks too.
Without gimmicks, exactly right. And Homestead falls into that category. Darlington falls into that category. Homestead, though, in comparison with Darlington, Homestead offers way more grooves to race up and down the track, kind of like what you saw at Las Vegas. So Homestead, ever since it came out with the number one, reprofiled it, but then number two came out with this new generation car. In my opinion, the racing has been second to none.
Yeah, it's too bad that they couldn't. It would be nice at some point if somebody like some engineer somewhere would be able to come up with a way. Hey, man, I'm going to build you a racetrack that you're going to be that is going to feel like it's 30 years old, or that's the pavement's 30 years old, even though it's only 6 months old. Come up with that kind of genius plan, and you could be rich.
You just pave it with the crushed up shells like Darlington.
There you go.
And that way you've got a very abrasive, sharp surface, and you'd have tire problems all day.
Yeah, well, you see, why they don't do that more often, I don't know. Okay. Now, let's take a look at some of these trends here at Homestead that are key. There have only been 26 races. Now, this is also going to be very important to note that they've never raced in March, but they have raced in February and June. Everything else was October, November. And it's interesting because we just talked about it a couple of weeks ago with one of the races where, sometimes you'll see drivers when we're going over our trends, they're much better in the spring as opposed to the fall. Well, why is that? Whatever. We're just looking at the numbers, and you can reason whatever way you want it, but the facts are the facts. So that could be an interesting way to kind of just say in general that this is going to be a tough race to handicap because, again, never in March. The only race in February, which was 2021, was won by William Byron from the 31st position. So that's weird. And then the only other race that wasn't in the fall was the June race in 2020. That was won by Denny Hamlin from the pole. So, but again, that was June and it was February. This is closer to the February. For what that's worth. But again, never March. 9 different winners. So even though the more important ones will be the last 3, the next gen winners, there have been 9 different winners in total at Homestead-Miami Speedway. So anybody that I think Kyle Busch might have been the last one to win a second time 10 years ago or whatever. So we'll take a look at that. Ford has not won in the last 6, so nothing in the next gen. Toyota's won 4 of the last 6. As far as starting position, you do want to start up front, kind of similar to Las Vegas. Big surprise. Only 3 winners of 26 have started outside the top 15. That was 31st Byron, 38th and 22nd. 9 of the last 12 have started in the top 5 with 2 pole sitters. So which one of those trends are you the most zeroed in on?
Starting position, top 5 for sure. I think that's a critical one. This is a track like we saw at Las Vegas where a lot of trouble can happen because cars can run anywhere on the track and it's a rougher surface, which is going to give your tires some problems. So being able to start up the front, have track position, and just work to maintain that, not make any mistakes throughout the day. I think that's easier than trying to come from behind.
That's Ryan Blaney.
Yeah, exactly right. Saying it's the exact Blaney situation is exactly what you want to avoid. If you can start inside the top 5 and just make no mistakes throughout the day, I think you're going to be there at the end.
Okay. So just taking a look at these. Here are the 9 drivers that have won, the 9 different drivers that have won. In case you want to go with that strategy of picking a 10th. That means you're not betting on Reddick, Bell, Larson, Byron, Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Logano, Jimmy Johnson. You can't bet on him, or Truex, and I think that's it. So those are, because again, those are us. So really, there's only current drivers Logano, Kyle Busch, Hamlin, Byron, Larson, Bell, and Reddick. So those are the ones, if you want to go with that trend. Okay. So now let's preview the race. Take a look at the odds. Let's do that. Let me pop them up. Maybe we'll even, by the way, as I'm doing this, don't forget, if you're into F1, we're going to preview the F1 race, the Chinese Grand Prix. So that will be available later in the week here on, the video will be available a little bit later in the week here on Proline TV. Let me take a little sneak peek at the of the futures. Do they have the futures? Oh, they don't. That's strange. I guess it's too early. All right. Who cares? All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the odds here. So you do have, I'll tell you right now, and obviously when we talk on Saturday, to you viewers about who's qualifying in the top 5, as CJ said, or in that top 15 line that we're going to draw. Fact is that that will definitely be important. There's no question about it. But since this is not Saturday, and we have to guess this through, I think we just kind of went over the trends, and I think there is a great possibility that on a Tuesday that there's just a really big opening for many different options to win this race. This is not going to be an easy one to handicap, and especially because of what we saw last week, we're going to see at Homestead, like we saw last few years at Homestead, we're going to see a lot of lead changes. We're going to see a lot of drama. Anything can happen. And the reason I say that is because I think my strategy this week, CJ, is going to try to find bargains. I mean, I try to find bargains every week, but especially this week because of this reason right here. You have 4 drivers that have odds between 4 and 6 to 1. And that I just think is, I can't see myself going that way. I just think there's too many opportunities for other drivers to win here to go with a low numbered driver. But if I was going to pick one of the 4, let's go over it. So there you see the top 4 there. Larson has been very good here, even though he's only had 1 win. And that win was the first year of the next gen in 2022. He dominated, leading 199 laps. But he crashed the next year and finished 13th last year. So, and he's a heavy favorite both those years. Reddick is also, as you can see, a heavy favorite at 5 to 1. Also, like Larson, very good. Matter of fact, better as far as his average, because he's got 4 top 5s out of 5 with a win, defending champ from the pole, 97 laps last year. Blaney, we talked about Blaney a lot, obviously. Fact is that, like a lot of drivers, he goes through stretches. He's up, he's down. Right now, he's kind of down. And when he's down, I don't really push him myself. And I don't know. Byron has a win in 2021, the race just before the next gen, but has been good here nonetheless, 12th, 4th, and 6th with the next gen cars. So if I was going to take someone to win this race out of these 4, and I might go with Byron. I'm not taking any of them, but I might go with Byron because he's got the better odds.
My choice out of this group is Byron. I think he could have won last week were he not battling Ross Chastain in closing laps.
Yeah, ask Jenny Hamlin about that.
Yeah, exactly. So I think Byron's got the car to beat, and that's why I'm going with him. His results here are fantastic, as you said. Plus, you're getting better odds in all of these. Blaney, I worry again. It's now 2 races in a row where he's had a really rough patch. Tyler Reddick got out there and led at Las Vegas, but he also ended up in trouble as well. Yeah, he's good at this track. And I think in this track in particular, one of the fastest lines is being able to run as close to the outside wall as possible. Tyler Reddick, we know, can do that. Kyle Larson, on the other hand, you're again paying a premium for somebody who is up and down and very inconsistent. And there's every likelihood that he could be very much up this week. He led the most laps at Las Vegas, so I wouldn't put it past him, even if he was, on a bad spell. I wouldn't put it past him to have a good race at Homestead this week. But there's always the likelihood out there that he can screw up and have a crash like he did 2 races ago at this track, even though he had led 96 laps prior to crashing. That's always within Kyle Larson's wheelhouse. So, hard to call him a bargain, but given all of those variables, William Byron, I think, is my hands down choice out of this group.
Yeah, I'm looking at last year. Let's see. Larson never last year strung together 3 straight top 10s the whole year. How about that?
It's pretty amazing for somebody who's every week the favorite.
And you know what? He's off 2 straight top 10s.
Though this year records,
warning sign.
This year records are made to be broken. We've had
that's true.
Bell winning 3.
Yep. You're right about that.
Yeah.
But as far as Blaney too, the other thing to keep in mind is that, and I don't know how this is going to impact him, but again, it's the beginning of the year, and Ryan Blaney is an end of the year driver.
Yeah.
And those 2 runner-up finishes the last 2 years were when he was at his best at the end of the year, fighting to get into the championship. And he did so by putting together 2 awesome finishes without winning. So it's just a different mindset. I don't know what it is, but that's what you have to keep in mind. Now, look, could he go out there, dominate even, and win? Absolutely. We know he can. We know he can do that on this track. But there are just some warning signs out there. And again, he's 5-1. So, and you realize that his odds did not change last week after he qualified 36th. How crazy was that?
Yeah.
He was 12-1 going into qualifying, and he came out 12-1, starting 36th. So, all right. Let's get the next group here. Let's get these 3 here, Bell, Hamlin, and Elliott. And see, for Bell, it's just back to the old thing. I mean, is he going to win? What is it, 3 and 5?
It would be 4 out of 6.
Oh, 4. That's right, 4 out of 6. So that's just asking a lot. He won this race a couple years ago, led 26 laps. He only led 33 laps in 5 races, though. Keep that in mind. Hamlin, meanwhile, who is, of course, also driving a Toyota, and that's a good thing here, has 3 wins out of 20. He had 6 poles in his last 7 races at Homestead before the next gen car. 6 poles in 7. But since the next gen, his best pole finish starting position is 4th. That was last year. He led 21 laps, finished 3rd. I think Hamlin is a solid play, definitely. And then Elliott has not been particularly good here over his career, just been okay. Few top 5s, including last year when he led 81 laps from the 7th position. And let's keep in mind, last year, that was when Elliott was just not really doing all that great. And then he had the big run at Homestead, which was actually a little surprising. But, he didn't finish it off, which wasn't surprising the way things went for Elliott last year. So, hey, I think Elliott's a solid possibility. I probably want more than 11, though, at Elliott, considering he is the 6th pick here. I think I deserve a little bit better than 11-1 with his history being the co-6th. But out of these 3, I'd probably go with Hamlin.
Yeah, I agree. Hamlin is my choice just because of the consistency standpoint, regardless of the type of car, regardless of the year and when this race happens. He seems to always be in and around the top 10, qualifying really well with 6 total poles. 5 of them happen to be in a row. He led 31 laps 2 years ago before crashing, led 21 laps last year. He led 137 laps back in 2020 when he won the race. The only time he basically didn't lead a lap in the past 10 years or so is 2021. So Hamlin tends to be at the front at this track, regardless of the scenario. So out of this bunch, the other 2 are a little bit more inconsistent for me. Denny Hamlin would be the choice.
Okay. Next, let's go here. So we've got Ross Chastain through Bowman. And Chastain, I don't think he's the way to go. If you look at Chastain, 1 top 5 out of 6, never led a lap. His last 2 finishes are 33rd and 31st. And he's only started once better than 20th here. So definitely look, let's check back on Saturday. And if Ross Chastain has a top 10 starting position like he did a couple of years ago, even though he crashed in that race, maybe we'll consider it. But look, he finished 2nd 3 years ago from the 20th position, which is really nice. But again, he hasn't led a lap here. So once more, I think I want more than 16-1 there. And then you have Logano, who has a win back in 2018. He hasn't led a lap with the next gen, only one top 10 with the next gen. Kyle, being 22, see, now we start to get to, I think, one driver where I would look at and say, okay, well, if Kyle was 10-1, I would never consider it, but I would at 22-1 because the odds are so good. And he has a couple wins here. He's led over 470 laps here, even though he has only led 7 in the last 5 races. He doesn't have a great history either in the next gen, one top 10, but you are getting 22-1. Briscoe has not been very good here at all, even though he has a win in the Xfinity Series here back in 2020. And once again, Alex Bowman, one of these weeks, he's going to come out and he's going to win for us. And we're going to grab those big odds, those big, beautiful odds. But I'm doing it again. Why not? He's raced he's raced 9 times here in the Cup Series. 3 of those are top 10s. 2 of them have come in the next gen. I know he's never led a lap, but you're getting 28-1. So once again, I think Bowman is a very good long shot play.
I don't even know why we waste time talking about the other 4 guys on the page. To be honest with you, Alex Bowman, not only are the odds just fantastic for him at this track, considering just his results recently in the next gen car compared to everybody else on the screen here, but he sits 6th in points right now. He's been quiet, but he's been good. He's one of the only ones, one of two drivers at this point in the season with 4 top 10 finishes. That is disrespectful to give him 28-1 odds at a place where he finished in the top 10 last year, especially compared to these guys. So I think Alex Bowman is a must play at this number here on Tuesday.
Okay. Next group, the last week's champ. Well, Josh Berry not getting those big numbers anymore. So he's 30-1. See, that's why you got to get him when the numbers are big, as we've been preaching here. All right. And then you've got Busher, Hocevar, Wallace, and Kozlowski. And out of this group, I think the interesting one really is probably Hocevar. Kozlowski would be interesting to me. It's just that I said it at the beginning of the season. I didn't have a good feeling about it. And sure enough, that's coming true. So I don't know. I didn't pick him to make the playoffs. And so why would I pick him to win a race? Even though he's been okay with the next gen here, and he's got a few top 5s overall. One of them was in 2022. But Busher hasn't really done much. Berry's not winning 2 straight. So Hocevar has a truck win at Homestead in 2023. And that's usually the only thing we have going for us with Hocevar. What did he finish last year in this race?
That's a good question. I have to bring it up.
Oh, by the way, while you're doing that, I didn't realize. I forgot Wallace was on this group. So Wallace is definitely the play here. He's 45-1. And even though he has 1 top 10 in 6 races, that was 2 years ago. And he's starting to kind of figure things out a little bit, Wallace. He's not finishing races like he's starting them. But I kind of think Homestead is a track that makes sense for me to go with Bubba Wallace as a long shot. So I would consider Wallace probably the best one of this group. But what do you got for Hocevar?
So Hocevar finished 9th last year, despite starting 15th. So similar to Josh Berry, who finished 11th at the track last year in this race. He started 12th, so not a whole big load of difference between where he started and where he finished. But Hocevar and Berry both pulling out pretty decent finishes last year at this track. Chris Buescher is interesting to me because of the fact that at a place like Darlington, which we said is a comparable track, he does very well at.
Okay.
He's been very much punching above his weight. I mean, we saw Ryan Preece actually make use of the equipment last week as well at Las Vegas. I think RFK from a Chris Buescher and Ryan Preece standpoint are getting there. I agree with you on Keselowski. He's just down in the dumps. He's got to, demonstrate some turnaround before I start choosing him. But I also think Wallace is also, as you said, starting to figure things out. So it wouldn't surprise me to see Wallace running around the top 10, top 15 throughout the day. It's just a question in my mind as to whether he can execute all the way through the race. For me, Karsten Hocevar, I'd like a little bit. He's 45-1, maybe a little bit better than that because.
Yeah.
Again, we're going for the win. He's never won here before. He's with a smaller team. So not to say that he can't be good. And Josh Berry obviously did it last week as well. But for me, Chris Buescher probably stands out a bunch among this bunch.
All right. So let's take a look at some of the Darlington finishes last week and last year. And let's see. Larson won both stages in the second race, finishing fourth, though. Chase Briscoe got the win at Darlington. That's the one that catapulted him into the playoffs. Of course, he's with a different team now, but he's been so bad here, and he's now in a different team. It's just
you got to away.
Yeah. Kyle did finish second at the second race at Darlington. And then the first race at Darlington was won by Kozlowski. So again, I said there was a little to like about Kozlowski with the numbers I looked at. So if you want to look, if you think, unlike me, that he'll make the playoffs, and go for it. I mean, he's got that finish. And by the way, Briscoe finished fifth as well in the first Darlington race. What's important to note, though, is that when we're talking about other tracks, sometimes we lose sight of it. Is we'll look at another track and we'll say, "Wow, look, he's good at the similar track," but then you go to the track that you're on and he's not good there. It's like, well, then don't worry about the track the similar track. Worry about the track he's on. That's the one that's the most important one. Use the similar track as, if he's good there too, or he's bad there too. That's when you use it. So just keep that in mind. Sometimes you lose sight of it. I've lost sight of it sometimes. Okay. What do you think about Wallace?
I think Wallace is a good play. I think he's going to be around the top 15, top 10 throughout the day. I just question whether or not he can execute all the way through race distance, because as of yet, while he is demonstrating that speed and as he is showing that he's figuring things out with this team, again, the race finish is just a complete race finish, has not been there yet for him.
Okay. Next group. And these are the guys who are the last remaining guys not at 100-1. And I mean, look, I'm going to go back to Cindric. I think, I think he earned it with a solid solid run, including a stage 1 win last week. So he has the thing to keep in mind this week is in his 3 Cup races, he has never qualified inside the top or in the top 25. That's awful. So all he has to do is qualify top 15, that put him in that number on that line we talked about, qualify in the top 15, and I think he's a good play. You're getting 45-1 here. Keep in mind, very good in the Xfinity Series here, so it shouldn't be that. And then you've got Gibbs at this point. I mean, you have to stay away from Gibbs. I think we're at that point now, or at least I am now. Suarez hasn't done good here before. Preece had a good run last week, which is why he's not 100-1. But AJ Allmendinger is definitely a long shot play, 100% guaranteed. Take the 80-1 right after you. I mean, pause this video, open up your sportsbook account, make sure you get the bet in before it drops. Maybe it won't drop, but it should, because there's no way AJ should be 80-1, even though he's never led a lap here in 13 races. That's because in the 3 next gen races, the last 3 years, he's finished 3rd, 5th, and 8th.
Yeah, and prior to that, he had an 11th, a 10th, and a 5th. So AJ's got this track down, 3rd, 5th, and 8th, despite the fact that the 5th and the 8th came from the 25th and 32nd starting positions. He got his 3rd place finish when he started 10th. So it doesn't matter where AJ Allmendinger starts. He knows this track, and he's very quick at it. So I agree. Suarez is kind of a middle of the pack kind of guy, not great here, not bad either. Cindric, I think just based on what we saw from him last week, I have optimism for him, but agreed, I'd want to see where he qualifies because, again, his average starting position at Homestead is only 29.3. His best finish is a 12th. I think if he starts further up inside the top 20, even, I think he's going to be in for a much better day, hopefully inside the top 15, if not top 10. And then Ryan Preece, it was cool to see last week, and keep in mind that he finished 10th from the 35th starting position here last year, so that could be a good omen for him as well.
Okay. Last long shot group here. And out of all of these long shots, you see, starting with Gregson at 100-1, Dylan is 170-1. And I just point those two out. Custer is 300-1. Those are the three I'm going to point out because Gregson, even though nothing better than 19th last year in 2 cup races, and he has just been a dominant driver here in the Xfinity Series. So he's raced here 5 times in the Xfinity Series. He's coming off a win in 2022. That's the last time he raced in the Xfinity Series before we can move the cup. Led 127 laps. Before that, he did crash in 2021, but then 5th, 3rd, 4th with 335 laps total led over 5 Xfinity Series races. So I think he's definitely worth $1 for sure at 100-1 for you guys out there, like maybe that like me, depending on how much you wager on. Dylan is somebody to keep an eye on as well. In 11 cup races, his average is 12.6. And in 2 of the last 3 cup races, he finished 4th and 10th. And in the Xfinity Series, 4 races, average 6.0. So Dylan, no matter where, what series it is, he is a top 12 machine here, meaning he is a great fantasy play for your top 10 for a driver that is a big long shot. And then Cole Custer sticks out for sure because in 6 Xfinity Series races, he has 3 runner-ups and a win, and he's led 473 laps. So we'll see if he can, move any of that, that success in the Xfinity Series over to Cup. But you're talking about a 300-1 driver. So those are the 3 long shots that stick out for me.
Yeah, I totally agree on all of them. I think Dylan is an obvious fantasy play from a betting perspective. I think Noah Gragson jumps to the top just because the same things that we're saying about him this week are the same things that we said about him last week. And last week he was really quick until he ended up having a tire issue. Assuming he doesn't have the tire issue, I think he might have been in contention for a top 5. Who knows? Maybe even better. And I think the same can be true given similar circumstances at Miami this weekend.
Okay. Did anybody else that you wanted to talk about long shot wise?
No, I probably wouldn't go much further down. I think this is a one, based on Barry's success last week, depending upon where late caution flags happen to land, I think we could end up with a long shot winner here.
All right. So let's go over for our picks. Who goes?
Oh, I forgot.
You started. What race is this?
Even, so it's you first.
Okay. All right. Where are we? Let me get these things out. Okay. So, I think this comes down again. I'm not going to, like I said, I'm not going to bet any of these guys. So I'll leave you with Byron anyway. I think that's the way you're going to go.
Yes.
Okay. I'll jot you down for Byron. I'm going to go with, I'll go with Hamlin then. That'll be my top pick. So my second pick then, after you took Byron, let's see. That's when we come over here. And I'm just going to take Bowman.
Yeah, I would have taken Bowman, obviously, if you hadn't. So I'll go ahead and take Chris Buescher.
Okay. And then my final pick. Boy, there's a lot of long shots to really consider here. So my final pick, I will go with, so I think it should be, you got AJ I agree. I think Hocevar's numbers, I think, should be more like AJ's. So because of that, I'd probably go with AJ. I'll do that. I'll go with AJ.
Then I will go ahead and grab Gregson.
There you go. So yeah, so the other ones that I'm definitely putting money on, Dylan, Wallace, Hocevar, Cindric, and Custer as far as the long shots. And then Elliott and Kyle Busch would be the only other two that I'm going to consider for sure. I might wait until qualifying, but anyway, those are the ones that make the most sense. And that's going to wrap it up. So again, we're going to be talking some F1 here as well. So check that out. CJ's fantasy report, DFS report for this race will come out later in the week, and we'll post it either when Kevin does his preview on Friday's report, or I'll post it along with our qualifying report on Saturday. And it is now East Coast time. That's another thing to keep an eye on. And I don't even have to look, but I know based on history that the race is probably going to you would think that if the race is out west, they're all different because of the 3-hour time difference. So you're probably thinking to yourself, oh, it's the East Coast now, so the races will start earlier. No, they don't start earlier. It's the same times. So why take advantage of the time differences? Why do that? Why take advantage of 12, 1, 2 o'clock when nothing's happening? Why just throw it at 3 o'clock? And then this way, when the race is over, people are getting ready for dinner and they're doing all sorts of things. That's a great strategy by NASCAR. Love it. But anyway, I'm assuming, again, am I wrong? They're probably starting at 3 o'clock.
Starts at 3. You nailed it.
Yeah. So, okay. So that'll wrap it up. Don't forget, this man is going to be absent next week. So say goodbye to him for 1 week. He'll be back in 2 weeks. And then, what do you miss? Martinsville?
We'll miss Martinsville. Yep. Okay. I'll be back in time to see it, but I won't be able to preview it.
Okay. And then don't forget too, we are, or at least I am, maybe this week, maybe I'll do it this week. I'm thinking about going live. I think this is a good race to do it. Not sure when, but it could come anytime now. So subscribe to the channel. That's definitely one reason you might want to do that. So and hit the notification bell, because that basically lets you know, hey, wait a second, something's going on. Why? It's Sunday night. Well, that's because, hey, we're going to do some commentary, live commentary, as the race comes to an end at Homestead or Talladega or Daytona. So one of these races, I know I'm going to do something live, and I'm going to have to, hopefully grab CJ along for the ride for one of them at some point. But that's just another reason to make sure to subscribe to the channel. It also helps to support the channel. And we appreciate your time as always. Comments, questions, things of that nature, let us know. And a matter of fact, let me make sure before we do go that we did not forget about anybody who made any questions or comments during the past week that stuck out. Let's see. We do have a few here. Some did have to do with what happened, though, in a previous race. So we won't go there. Yeah, I think that's it. I think most of this that I'm reading here is just from a couple of weeks ago. All right, so that's going to do it. Again, if you want to check out our F1 coverage, feel free to do that. That'll be posted in a few days. This is being posted on Tuesday, and we're going back to Wednesday when CJ comes back, but you never know. Sometimes there will be some Tuesday options available, and we're going to take advantage of that when we can. So CJ, appreciate your time as always, and have a nice little time away. Where are you going?
Going to England.
Wow, that's awesome.
Looking forward to getting away.
Have you been there before?
Yeah, actually. My mom lives there. So
that's awesome.
Spring break time to go visit family.
That's great. Does she speak the language?
Yes.
How long has she been there?
Probably 15 years at this point.
Really? That's all it takes in 15 years. And she's speaking the language. She sounded like a native already, huh?
Exactly right. Yes.
That's funny. All right. Awesome. So we'll see everybody next week with Kevin, and CJ will be back in a couple of weeks for Darlington. So I'll see everybody also on Saturday for the qualifying report for Homestead. So thanks for tuning in.